Hello, and welcome to another episode of Super English Talks, the channel where we talk about big and useful ideas in simple and powerful English. I'm really happy that you're here with me today. If you're someone who wants to improve your English and also grow as a thinker and communicator, then you're in exactly the right place. Every episode on this channel is designed to help you speak more fluently while also learning something that is valuable for your everyday life. Today's topic is one that I think is very important, especially in the world we live in right now: creative problem solving. Now, when you first hear the words creative and problem solving, you might immediately think, I'm not a very creative person, or that sounds like something only for artists, writers, or inventors. But trust me, this topic is for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a student, a parent, an employee, or someone running your own business. Creative problem solving is something we all use every single day, even if we don't always notice it. Think about it. Life doesn't always go according to plan. Things break. Plans change. Sometimes we get stuck, confused, or disappointed. In these moments, the solution is not always found in the rules we have learned or the knowledge we already have. What really helps us move forward is our ability to think differently, to stay flexible, to ask new and better questions, and to look for other paths when the usual one is blocked. And that's exactly what creative problem solving is all about. In this episode, we're going to look at this topic from different angles. First, we'll talk about what creative problem solving actually means and how it is different from just following instructions or using traditional logic. Then, we'll look at why this skill is so important in today's world, not just in school or at work, but also in everyday life. After that, we'll talk about the things that block our creativity, like fear, perfectionism, or that little voice in your head that says, "This idea is stupid." And of course, I'll share some real-life strategies that you can use right away to start thinking more creatively. Along the way, I'll also ask you some questions so that you can reflect on your own life and your own experiences. Because this is not just about listening, it's about growing. So, I really encourage you to stay with me until the end of this episode. I promise it's going to be useful, maybe even inspiring, and definitely full of good English that you can easily understand and use in your own conversations. So, take a deep breath, relax, and get ready to think in a fresh new way. Let's open your creative mind together, right here on Super English Talks. What is creative problem solving? So, what exactly do we mean when we say creative problem solving? Let's break it down in a very simple way. First, let's think about the word problem. A problem is just something that needs a solution. It's something that is standing in your way, stopping you from reaching your goal. Now, let's think about the word creative. Creative simply means using your imagination and your ability to think in new and different ways. So when we put these two ideas together, creative problem solving, we are talking about finding solutions by using fresh ideas, flexible thinking, and sometimes unusual or unexpected approaches. This is especially useful when the normal or traditional ways don't work. Some people believe that problem solving always follows a clear and straight path. They imagine it like a simple formula. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, and then boom, you get the answer. This way of thinking is called linear problem solving. It's like solving a math problem. If A plus B equals C, you just follow the steps and get the answer. And sometimes life really does work this way. For example, when you follow a recipe to cook a dish, or when you follow instructions to build a chair, you're doing linear problem solving. The steps are clear, and if you follow them, you'll get the result. But here's the big question. What about the problems in life that don't come with clear instructions? What do you do then? But what about the kinds of problems where you don't even know where to begin? The situations that make you think, I have no idea what to do now. That's exactly where creative problem solving becomes so important. You see, creative problem solving is not about following rules step by step. It's more about your mindset, the way you choose to approach the problem. Instead of asking only, what's the correct answer? You start asking, what are all the possible answers? You begin to see the problem from more than one angle. You ask yourself new kinds of questions like, what if I try something completely different? What if the answer is not outside of me, but inside me? What if the real problem is not the problem itself, but the way I'm looking at it? When you ask better questions, you often find better solutions. Let me give you a few simple examples to make this idea more real. Example 1. Everyday life. Imagine you're planning a family dinner. Everything is ready, but suddenly the electricity goes out. You can't use the oven, the microwave, or any electrical appliance. Most people would feel stuck and maybe even cancel the dinner. But what if you get creative? You could light candles to make it special, cook on a gas stove or a portable grill, or even turn it into a fun, cold dinner night with sandwiches, fruits, and snacks. Instead of a disaster, you've created a unique and memorable evening. That's creative problem solving in everyday life. Example 2. At work. Now think about work. Let's say you're leading a project, but 2 of your team members are suddenly unavailable. At first, you might panic, but then you step back and start asking questions. Is there a faster way to complete this? Can we move the deadline? Can I ask someone from another department for support? By looking at it differently, you're not just reacting, you're thinking outside the box. You're being flexible and finding solutions that weren't obvious at the start. Example 3. Relationships. Even in relationships, creative problem solving is very powerful. Imagine you and a close friend have a misunderstanding. You already explained your side, but they're still upset. The usual reaction might be to argue more or just walk away. But creative problem solving asks you to try something different. Maybe you write them a letter instead of talking face to face. Or you change the environment. Invite them for coffee instead of continuing the conversation over text. Sometimes, just changing the how can change the whole result. So you see, creative problem solving is not only about being smart, it's about being open. It's about being willing to try, to experiment, to fail, and then to try again. It doesn't always mean creating a brand new invention or coming up with a wild idea. Many times, it's something very small, a tiny shift in perspective, a new question, or a different way of combining 2 old ideas. The heart of it is your mindset, choosing to stay curious instead of stuck, choosing to stay flexible instead of frustrated. And here's something very important to remember. You don't have to be an artist, a designer, or an inventor to be creative. We are all creative in different ways. Creativity shows up in how you cook, how you study, how you manage your time, how you reduce stress, or how you communicate with people. Creativity is not only a natural talent, it's also a skill. And like any skill, you can practice it, grow it, and get better at it. The more you practice, the more confident you become in solving problems, not just logically, but creatively. So the next time you face a challenge, whether it's big or small, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is there another way to see this? What haven't I tried yet? You might be surprised at the answers that come when you give yourself permission to think a little differently. That's the real heart of creative problem solving. It's not only about fixing the problem in front of you, it's also about growing as a thinker while you do it. Why creative problem solving matters more than ever. In the past, life was a little more predictable. People often stayed in the same job for many years, sometimes even for their whole lifetime. The path was clearer. Study hard, get a good job, build a family, and follow the same traditions as those before you. Of course, problems still came, but the solutions were usually known. You could ask someone older, follow the advice of tradition, or look for rules and steps that had already worked for many years. But today, things are very different. The world is moving faster than ever before. Technology is changing everything. Some jobs disappear, while completely new ones are created overnight. We live in a world of constant change. And that's exactly why creative problem-solving matters more now than ever before. Think about the kinds of problems we face today. Economic changes that affect millions of people, health crises like the pandemic, climate change, new technologies, and even changing ideas about communication, culture, and identity. These are not simple issues with one correct answer. They are complex, messy, and sometimes confusing. That's why we need people who can stay calm, think clearly, and imagine new ways forward, even when the situation feels uncertain or overwhelming. And here's something really important. Creativity isn't only for creative people. You don't need to be a painter, a musician, or a writer to be creative. Creativity isn't just about art. It's about how you respond to challenges, how you make decisions when the old way doesn't work anymore. A doctor designing a new way to treat a patient. A teacher changing their method to help a struggling student. A single parent finding a way to cook dinner with only 3 ingredients in the kitchen. All of these are acts of creative problem-solving. A real-life story. Let me share a true story with you. During the pandemic, there was a school teacher in India who lived in a small rural village. Her students didn't have internet access at home. They didn't have laptops. Many of them didn't even own smartphones. At first, she didn't know what to do. How could she keep teaching her students without technology? But instead of giving up, she got creative. Every week, she printed out lessons on paper and gave them to the local shopkeeper. Parents would stop by the shop, collect the papers, and take them home to their children. The kids would study at home and then send back their answers using simple voice messages on a basic mobile phone. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't high-tech. But it worked. The children kept learning because one teacher refused to quit. She found a new path when the usual one was blocked. That's what creative problem-solving looks like in real life. Stories like this teach us something powerful. When resources are limited, our creativity becomes even more valuable. We learn to see possibilities where others only see problems. We learn how to build something useful out of very little. And this ability to adapt, to rethink, to reimagine is becoming one of the most important skills in the 21st century. In fact, many companies today say that creativity is one of the top qualities they look for when hiring new people.
Why?
Because in a world that is always changing, a flexible mind is stronger than fixed knowledge. But here's the key point. This isn't only about jobs or school. Creative problem-solving also matters deeply in your personal life. Creative problem-solving in personal life. Let's think about some everyday situations. Imagine your friend is feeling really down. You've tried saying nice things, you've tried giving advice, but nothing seems to help. What do you do then? Or imagine you've been saving money carefully, but suddenly unexpected costs keep coming up. Maybe a medical bill, maybe a car repair, or maybe just rising prices. How do you adjust in those moments? These situations don't usually have simple answers. They don't come with clear instructions. What they need is a different way of thinking. You have to step back, ask new questions, and sometimes try something you've never done before. That's what creativity in action looks like. And here's the good news. You already have the ability to think creatively. In fact, you've probably used it many times in your life, even if you didn't notice it. Think back to a moment when something broke and you had to fix it with only the tools or objects around you. Or think about a time when you had to explain an idea to someone in a new way so they could finally understand. Or maybe you had to change your plan at the very last minute, and surprisingly, it turned out even better than your original idea. These small, everyday moments are proof. Proof that you already know how to solve problems creatively. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you had to figure something out with limited time or resources? Was it at work? At home? Maybe even yesterday? Think about how you reacted. Did you freeze and get frustrated? Or did you pause, take a breath, and look for a different way to approach it? The truth is, the more you practice creative problem solving, the easier it becomes. And in today's world, with so many unexpected challenges, creative thinking is not just helpful, it's essential. It gives us hope when things feel uncertain, strength when life gets tough, and the tools we need to keep moving forward no matter what comes our way. Mastering creativity, skills, and mindsets for modern problem solving. Now, let's go deeper. Creativity is not just about being an artist, painting pictures, or coming up with wild, unusual ideas. It's a powerful skill that every single one of us needs in today's fast-changing world. Every day, we face problems that don't have ready-made answers. They require fresh thinking, flexible strategies, and new solutions. To really master creativity, we need to look beyond the simple idea of thinking outside the box. We need to understand how our emotions, our relationships with others, our daily habits, and even the way our brain works can help us become better problem solvers. Emotional intelligence and creativity. One of the most important parts of creativity is emotional intelligence. This means being aware of your own emotions and also understanding the emotions of other people. Emotions play a huge role in problem solving. They can either help us or make things more difficult. For example, when we feel stressed, angry, or frustrated, it can be hard to think clearly. In those moments, our brain often focuses only on the problem, not on possible solutions. But if we can manage those emotions, if we can calm ourselves down and stay balanced, we suddenly open the door to more creative thinking. Emotional intelligence also matters when we're working with others. If we can recognize how people are feeling, if we can listen to them, and if we can communicate clearly, teamwork becomes smoother. And when teamwork is smooth, ideas flow more freely. A group that trusts and respects each other can create solutions far more powerful than any one person could imagine alone. This shows us something important. Creativity isn't just about the brain. It's also about the heart, collaboration, and creativity. Speaking of working with others, collaboration is another key part of creative problem solving. When different people bring their unique ideas, experiences, and skills to the table, the results can be amazing. One person might see the problem from a practical angle. Another person might bring emotional insight. Someone else might think in a technical or logical way. Put all of that together, and suddenly you have a solution that no single person could have created on their own. But for collaboration to work, we need two things: good communication and respect for different opinions. If people talk past each other, or if they refuse to listen, the team gets stuck. But if people share openly, listen carefully, and value each other's contributions, then the team can come up with fresh and powerful solutions. Creativity as a social and personal skill. Creativity is not something we always do alone. It also happens when we work with other people. That means listening carefully to others and being open to changing your own ideas when you hear something new. Sometimes the best creative moments don't come from sitting quietly by yourself. They happen when people share ideas, challenge each other's thinking, and do it in a friendly and respectful way. That's why creativity is both social and personal. Resilience, bouncing back after failure. But let's be honest, creativity is not always easy. Sometimes you try something new and it fails. Sometimes your idea doesn't work the way you hoped, and that can feel frustrating. This is where resilience becomes so important. Resilience means the ability to bounce back after setbacks, to keep going even when things don't turn out as planned. When we fail, it's natural to feel disappointed or to want to give up. But resilient people see failure differently. They see it as part of the creative process, not the end of it. Every mistake is also a lesson. Every challenge is also an opportunity to grow. Resilience helps us stay motivated. It keeps us experimenting, trying again, and looking for new ways forward. In this way, resilience keeps our creativity alive, even when life feels tough. Building daily habits of creativity. Another key part of mastering creativity is creating small daily habits that support innovative thinking. Creativity is not something that only happens during big projects or special moments of inspiration. It grows slowly, through consistent practice. This might mean taking a little time each day to ask questions, to explore new ideas, or to try doing something in a different way. It could be as simple as reading a book on a topic you don't usually study, taking short breaks to clear your mind, or writing down your thoughts in a notebook. These small habits may not seem big at first, but over time, they train your brain to stay flexible, curious, and ready for new challenges. Everyday creativity is really about making space in your life for curiosity and exploration. The brain and creativity. Finally, it helps to understand a little about how the brain works when we think creatively. Our brain is an amazing organ. It can change and grow throughout life. This quality is called neuroplasticity. When we learn something new, or when we practice creative thinking, our brain builds fresh connections and pathways. That means every time you challenge yourself with new ideas, you're actually helping your brain grow stronger. Interestingly, scientists say that creative ideas often come when we let our mind rest or when we look at a problem from a completely different angle. Both focused thinking and relaxed thinking are important for creativity. This means it's not just about working hard. It's also about balancing hard work with rest, play, and reflection. Knowing this can help us be more patient with ourselves and build healthier habits for creative thinking. Conclusion: mastering creativity. So, what does it really mean to master creativity? It means combining many different skills and mindsets, managing our emotions, working well with others, staying strong after setbacks, building daily habits, and understanding how our brain works. All these pieces work together to make us stronger problem solvers. And here's the best news of all. Creativity is not just a talent that some people are born with and others are not. Creativity is a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and improved with patience. So the next time you face a problem, don't just rush to find the fastest answer. Pause. Think. Use your emotions wisely. Connect with others. Keep a positive attitude. Build habits that support your mind. And give your brain the chance to grow. That's how you truly master creativity. And that's how you become a modern problem solver. Creative thinking in a connected world. Today, creativity is more connected than ever before. We live in a world where ideas, people, and cultures meet constantly. Technology links us in ways that were impossible in the past. This connection creates exciting opportunities for creative thinking, but it also brings new challenges. So, how does creativity work in this connected world? How do culture, teamwork, and technology shape the way we solve problems? Collaboration and teamwork. One of the most powerful drivers of creativity today is collaboration. Creativity often happens when people work together. When different minds meet, they bring different experiences, knowledge, and perspectives. Imagine a team where each person comes from a different background or country. One person might see the problem in a way no one else thought of. Another might bring knowledge from a completely different field. This diversity is a huge advantage. It creates space for new solutions that no single person could have invented alone. But teamwork is not always easy. People may disagree, misunderstand each other, or work in very different ways. That's normal. Managing these differences is part of creative collaboration. It means listening carefully, asking questions, and staying open to unusual ideas. With good communication and respect, teamwork doesn't just solve problems, it pushes creativity to new heights. The role of culture. Culture also plays an important role in creativity. Different cultures have different ways of thinking and solving problems. In some cultures, creativity is celebrated openly. People are encouraged to try new things, experiment, and even fail. In other cultures, tradition and respect for authority are valued more. People may prefer to follow established methods carefully rather than take risks. Neither approach is better or worse. They are simply different. But in today's connected world, cultures constantly meet and influence each other. A company may have employees from many different countries. Each person brings a unique cultural approach to problem solving. When everyone feels safe to share and experiment, this mix of perspectives can lead to powerful new ideas. Understanding cultural differences helps us respect each other, work together better, and unlock more creativity. Technology and creativity. Now, let's think about technology. Technology can be both a friend and a challenge to creativity. On the positive side, technology gives us incredible tools. We can search for information instantly, connect with people around the globe, and create new things more quickly than ever before. Technology makes collaboration possible across distance, through video calls, shared workspaces, and social media platforms. These tools open doors to creative possibilities that earlier generations could only dream of. But technology also has a downside. Social media, for example, can fill our minds with endless noise. Instead of focusing on our own ideas, we might feel pressure to copy what others are doing. Technology can distract us, overwhelm us, or even make us doubt our own originality. So, the role of technology depends on how we use it. If we use it mindfully, it becomes a powerful support for creative growth. If we let it control us, it can hold us back. Inspiration from creative problem solvers. To understand creativity in a connected world, it helps to look at people who changed history through their ideas. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, who was not just an artist but also an inventor and scientist. He looked at the world with endless curiosity and connected ideas from different fields. Or Marie Curie, who worked through many difficulties and made discoveries that changed science and medicine forever. More recently, Steve Jobs used creativity to design technology that transformed how we live and communicate. All of these people remind us that creativity grows stronger when we connect different areas of knowledge, when we stay curious, and when we keep pushing forward despite challenges. I've smoothed your draft to match the long, clear, and flowing rhythm of your earlier sections. Here's the refined version: the creative mind, how we think, feel, and grow. Creativity is a fascinating process. It is not only about having good ideas, but also about how our mind works, how we manage our feelings, and how we grow through experience. To become better creative problem solvers, it helps to understand what happens inside our brain, how emotions shape our thinking, and why some people bounce back stronger from challenges than others. The science behind creativity. Our brain is an incredible organ that allows us to connect ideas, imagine new possibilities, and solve problems. When we think creatively, different parts of the brain work together. The part responsible for logic and planning helps us organize our thoughts. At the same time, the part linked to imagination and emotions helps us see patterns, make unusual connections, and spark new ideas. Scientists also tell us about something called neuroplasticity. This means that the brain can change and grow throughout our lives. Every time we learn a new skill, explore a new subject, or try a different way of thinking, our brain builds new connections. This is why creativity is not something fixed that we are born with. It is a skill we can strengthen with practice, patience, and curiosity. Emotions and creativity. But creativity is not only about the brain. Our emotions play a huge role too. This is where emotional intelligence becomes important. Emotional intelligence means being able to understand and manage your own feelings, as well as recognize the feelings of others. When we face a problem, emotions like stress, fear, or frustration can block creativity. We might feel too anxious to try new ideas or too afraid to risk failure. However, if we can notice these emotions, calm them, and not let them control us, we create space for creative thinking. Emotional intelligence also helps us work with others. By understanding how different people feel, we can communicate better, show empathy, and build solutions that respect everyone's needs. Creativity grows best when our emotions are balanced, not ignored, not avoided, but understood and managed. Learning from setbacks. Even with a flexible brain and strong emotional skills, creativity is still a challenge, because setbacks and failures happen to everyone. No creative person succeeds without facing difficulties. In fact, failure is part of the creative process. Some people let failure stop them. Others use it as fuel to grow. The difference often comes down to resilience, the ability to recover, adapt, and keep trying. Resilient people look at mistakes not as the end, but as lessons. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I improve next time? This mindset turns failure into a stepping stone toward success. It also explains why many of history's greatest creative minds faced repeated obstacles before achieving breakthroughs. Resilience and daily creative habits. Resilience is one of the most important parts of the creative mind. It means the ability to recover, adapt, and keep going after failure. Every creative person, no matter how talented, faces setbacks. But what makes them different is how they respond to those setbacks. When you are resilient, you don't see failure as the end. Instead, you see it as a chance to learn. You ask yourself simple but powerful questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I try a different way? This kind of thinking helps you stay motivated and open-minded. Instead of giving up when something doesn't work, resilience allows you to look at the problem from a new angle and keep searching for answers. In this way, challenges become opportunities for growth, and every mistake becomes part of the journey. But resilience alone is not enough. To keep our creativity alive, we also need daily habits, small, simple actions that keep our mind fresh and flexible. These habits don't have to take a lot of time or effort, but when practiced regularly, they build a strong foundation for creative thinking. For example, you can spend a few minutes each day writing down your ideas. It doesn't matter if the ideas seem strange, unfinished, or unrealistic. Writing them down keeps your brain active and trains you to notice possibilities. Another powerful habit is reading about topics outside your usual interests. When you expose your brain to new knowledge and different perspectives, you give it raw material to make unexpected connections. Even something as simple as taking short breaks can help. A walk outside, a moment of silence, or just stepping away from your work for a few minutes can refresh your mind. Often, new ideas appear when the brain is relaxed, not when it is under pressure. Daily curiosity and exploration. Small steps like asking questions, observing details, or trying something new keep the brain flexible and ready for new insights. Over time, these habits add up. Week by week, month by month, they shape the way you think. Creativity becomes not only something you do in special moments, but a natural part of your everyday life. When we put all these elements together, understanding how the brain works, managing our emotions, staying resilient in the face of failure, and building small daily habits, we develop a strong creative mind. Creativity then becomes more than just a talent. It becomes a way of living and thinking. It helps us solve problems more easily, enjoy learning, and discover opportunities we might otherwise miss. So the next time you face a challenge or feel stuck, remember this: your brain can grow and change. Your emotions can guide you instead of holding you back. Setbacks are lessons in disguise, and small habits keep your creativity strong. This is how we think, feel, and grow. And this is the heart of the creative mind. Unlocking innovation, tools, stories, and strategies. Many people believe that innovation is only for inventors, scientists, or geniuses. But the truth is, innovation is something that everyone can unlock. It is not only about creating a new invention. It is about finding fresh ways to solve problems, improve our lives, and make the world around us a little better. Whether you are working in a company, studying at school, or managing your daily routines at home, innovation can help you think more clearly, act more creatively, and find better solutions. So, how do we unlock innovation? One way is by looking at stories of people who changed the world with their creativity and persistence. Take Thomas Edison, for example. Many people know him as the inventor of the light bulb, but what they don't always realize is that he failed thousands of times before he succeeded. When people asked about his failures, Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His story shows us that innovation does not come from one lucky idea. It comes from trying again and again, learning from mistakes, and never giving up. Or think about Marie Curie, who discovered radium and polonium. She worked under very difficult conditions and faced many obstacles, but her passion and curiosity pushed her forward. Her discoveries changed medicine forever and showed the world the power of dedication and persistence. In more recent times, Steve Jobs used innovation not only to create new technology but also to change how we live, communicate, and connect with each other. His ideas shaped the way we use computers, music, and phones. He showed that innovation is not only about machines, it is about improving human experience. These stories remind us that innovation grows from curiosity, persistence, and the courage to try again, even when things are hard. But innovation is not only about big inventions or famous names. It is also about the small habits we build every day. You don't have to invent something completely new to be innovative. You can start by asking simple questions like, why is this done this way? Or what if we tried a different approach? These questions open doors to new ideas and possibilities. Innovation grows when we keep an open mind, ask questions, explore different paths, and learn from both success and failure. It is not limited to special people. It is a skill that anyone can develop step by step, day by day. Another helpful habit for building creativity is keeping a notebook or using a phone app to save your ideas. Many times, a small thought may not seem important at first, but later it can grow into something much bigger and more valuable. Writing your ideas down means you will not forget them, and you can return to them when you need inspiration. It is also important to give yourself time to explore different interests. For example, you might read about a subject that is not related to your work or school, but still teaches you something new. These fresh perspectives help your brain connect different ideas. Even taking short breaks during the day, such as walking outside or relaxing for a few minutes, helps your mind stay flexible and creative. Talking with friends, classmates, or colleagues about problems is also very powerful. Sometimes another person's point of view can open your eyes to a new solution you would not have thought of on your own. All these small daily habits prepare you for bigger creative and innovative moments. They keep your mind active and open, ready to make connections and discover new solutions. When we think about innovation today, we also need to look at the role of technology. Technology is one of the most powerful tools we have for creativity. It allows us to find information quickly, share ideas instantly, and connect with people all around the world. For example, graphic designers can use design software to bring their imagination to life, and engineers can use simulations to test new inventions before building them. Technology makes things faster, smarter, and more collaborative. It opens doors that were impossible before. But technology also has a darker side. If we are not careful, it can become a distraction. Constant notifications, endless scrolling, or comparing ourselves to others online can steal our time and focus. Sometimes it even creates pressure to always be active and productive, which can block our creativity instead of helping it. This is why it is important to use technology wisely. Technology should be our helper, not our master. If we stay aware of this, we can use technology to support our creativity instead of losing it. Another very important part of innovation is collaboration, which means working together with others. Innovation rarely happens when someone is completely alone. Great ideas often come from groups of people who share different skills, experiences, and points of view. When people collaborate, they listen to each other, respect different opinions, and build on each other's ideas. Collaboration also means being open to feedback and ready to change your approach if needed. Good teamwork creates a safe space for creativity. In such an environment, everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts, experimenting with new ideas, and learning from mistakes. This is why many successful companies today focus so much on team creativity. They know that the best solutions are born when people work together instead of alone. So, unlocking innovation is not about one single thing. It is about combining many elements, learning from inspiring stories, building daily creative habits, using technology carefully, and working well with others. Innovation is not a magic talent that only some people have. It is a skill that anyone can grow with time and practice. If you stay curious, keep trying even when it is hard, and stay open to new ideas, you will naturally become more innovative. With the right habits, tools, and people around you, innovation becomes part of your everyday life. The next time you face a challenge, try to remember these strategies. Think about innovators who never gave up. Practice small creative habits, that keep your mind fresh. Use technology as your helper, not your boss. And reach out to others to share ideas and build solutions together. Innovation is not far away. It is already within you, waiting to be unlocked. Because, let's be honest, we're not always in the right state of mind to think creatively. Sometimes, even when we truly want to, we just feel stuck. Our minds slow down. Ideas seem far away, and no matter how hard we try, nothing feels fresh or original. It can feel frustrating, almost like our imagination has gone silent. So, why does this happen? Why do we sometimes lose our creative flow? Let's start with the things happening inside of us. One of the biggest creativity blockers is fear of failure. This fear often sounds like a small but powerful voice in your head saying, "What if this doesn't work?" Or, "What if people laugh at me?" That little voice may seem harmless, but it can stop you before you even begin. It's like putting up a wall in front of your imagination before it has a chance to move forward. The problem is, when you are afraid to fail, you stop experimenting. And creativity needs experimentation. It thrives on trial and error. Think about it. If you only choose to do the things you already know will work, you never take risks. But those risks are often the very moments that lead to big discoveries and breakthroughs. Connected to this fear is something called perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that everything has to be flawless. No mistakes, no mess, no flaws allowed. At first, perfectionism might seem like a positive trait because it pushes us to do our best. But in reality, it often creates so much pressure that it actually makes creativity harder. Instead of exploring freely, you end up worrying. Is this good enough? What if it's wrong? When you focus only on the final result, you forget to enjoy the creative process. And creativity, at its heart, needs freedom, not fear. The truth is, when we allow ourselves to make imperfect things, messy drafts, clumsy first attempts, rough ideas, that's when surprising and interesting thoughts start to appear. Another common block is self-doubt. This is when you don't trust your own ideas or believe in your own creativity. You might tell yourself, "I'm not a creative person," or "Other people have better ideas than me." But here's the truth. Even the most successful and famous creators, artists, writers, musicians, inventors, all feel self-doubt at times. The difference is that they don't let that doubt stop them. They still try, even if they're unsure. Creativity isn't about being the best. It's about being brave enough to begin. We also get blocked by something called rigid thinking. This happens when we hold on too tightly to rules, habits, or familiar routines. It's like driving the same road every single day, even when traffic is awful, just because it's the road you know. But creativity is like discovering a new road, one that might be faster, more scenic, or simply more fun. When our thinking becomes rigid, we stop asking questions. We stay inside our comfort zone where everything feels safe, but nothing new can grow. It's a bit like sitting in a small room with the windows closed and wondering why you can't see the stars. Sometimes you just have to step outside. So far, we've talked about the internal blocks, the things inside our own mind. But creativity can also be blocked by external pressures. One big external block is the pressure to always be right. In school, at work, or even within families, we are often taught that mistakes are bad. Think about it. In many classrooms, students are punished for wrong answers instead of being encouraged to explore different ones. This kind of environment doesn't leave much room for curiosity or creative risk-taking. It teaches people to follow the rules instead of questioning them. But if you look at history, many great discoveries came from people who dared to ask unusual questions, who made mistakes, or who failed again and again before they finally succeeded. And then there's another powerful block, judgment, both from others and from ourselves. Maybe in the past, someone made you feel like your ideas were not good enough. Maybe a teacher once said your idea was silly. Maybe a friend laughed at your accent, your drawing, your opinion, or your way of thinking. Even small moments like these can plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Over time, these doubts can grow. You may start editing your own ideas before you even speak them. You might think, better stay quiet than say something wrong or stupid. But here's the problem. When we silence our ideas, we also silence our creativity. We stop ourselves before we even start. All of the things we've talked about, fear, perfectionism, self-doubt, pressure, judgment, they are like traffic jams in your mind. Imagine you're sitting in a car, engine on, ready to go, but you can't move. Your ideas are waiting behind a red light, and your inner critic is holding the stop sign. Creativity, however, needs movement. It needs green lights. It needs space to breathe and grow. So, how do we clear the road and let our ideas move forward? The first step is to notice the blocks. Just recognizing them can make a big difference. Ask yourself honestly, am I afraid to fail right now? Am I trying to be perfect? Am I worried about what others will think? Once you name the block, it becomes easier to move past it. You can remind yourself that mistakes are part of the process. Creativity isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask new questions and explore possibilities you haven't tried before. One very powerful way to do this is to change the story you tell yourself. Instead of saying, "I'm not creative," you can say, "I'm learning how to think creatively." Instead of thinking, "This has to be perfect," you can say, "Let's just see where this idea goes." This small shift in how you talk to yourself can open doors in your mind. It is like turning that red light into a green one. So the next time you feel stuck, remember, the block you feel isn't permanent. It's just a signal that something in your mindset, your environment, or your expectations needs a small change. The good news is that you already have everything inside you to make that change. Sometimes all it takes is a deep breath, a little courage, and the willingness to begin, even if you don't know exactly how it will end. Shifting your mindset. Now that we've talked about what blocks creativity, let's explore how we can move past those blocks. The first and most powerful step is to focus on your mindset. Mindset is the way you think about yourself, your abilities, your challenges, and the world around you. It is like a pair of glasses through which you see everything, every problem, every success, and every failure. And just like glasses, the right mindset can make things clear, while the wrong mindset can make things blurry or harder to see. There are two main types of mindset: fixed mindset and growth mindset. These ideas became well known thanks to a psychologist named Carol Dweck. Let's explain them in simple terms. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe your skills, talents, and intelligence are something you are born with, and they cannot really change. People with a fixed mindset often say things like, "I'm just not good at math," or "I'm not a creative person." When they face a difficult problem, they may think, "This is too hard," and give up quickly. They avoid challenges because failure feels like proof that they are not capable. To them, mistakes are scary. On the other hand, a growth mindset is the belief that you can learn, improve, and get better over time. Even if something is hard now, you can figure it out with effort and practice. People with a growth mindset say things like, "I'm not good at this yet," or "This is a challenge, but I can figure it out." They see effort as the path to mastery and understand that mistakes are part of learning. When they fail, they don't see it as the end. They see it as a chance to learn and grow. So ask yourself, which mindset do you usually use when things get tough? Be honest. When something doesn't go as planned, do you think, why is this happening to me? Or do you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That small change from why me to what now is called reframing. It is one of the most powerful tools for shifting your mindset and opening the door to creative thinking. Reframing, seeing problems differently. Reframing is about changing the way you look at a problem. Instead of letting it create stress, you turn it into something that gives you power and control. Imagine you are trying to learn a new skill, like public speaking or coding. At first, it can feel frustrating. You might make mistakes or get criticism from others. If you have a fixed mindset, you might think, I guess I'm just not made for this. You feel stuck and ready to give up. But if you have a growth mindset, you might think, okay, that didn't go perfectly, but what went right? What can I do better next time? Reframing doesn't mean pretending the problem doesn't exist. It means accepting that the problem is real, but choosing to see it as a challenge, not a dead end. Think of it like standing at the bottom of a mountain. A fixed mindset looks up and says, that's too high. I'll never make it. A growth mindset looks up and says, that's high. Yes, but I'll take it step by step. This change in thinking can completely transform how you solve problems. When your mindset shifts, you become more open to trying new strategies. You become more willing to take risks, ask questions, and explore ideas that may seem strange or unusual. Creativity begins not with perfect answers, but with curious minds. Think about your own life. Remember times when you gave up too quickly. Was it really because you couldn't do it, or because you believed you couldn't? Now, think about a time when you surprised yourself, when you did something you didn't think you could do. Most likely, what made that possible was your mindset. You didn't quit. You kept going. You saw possibilities, not just problems. This kind of mindset is especially important today. The world changes fast. Technology, careers, communication, even the languages we use. Everything evolves quickly. If your mindset stays fixed, it's easy to feel left behind. But if your mindset is flexible, ready to learn and grow, you can handle almost anything. I know it's not always easy. When you feel tired, anxious, or frustrated, it's natural to fall back into old patterns of thinking. But here's the good news. Mindset isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you practice. Every time you face a problem, you can choose how to respond. You can react with fear, or you can respond with curiosity. You can shut down, or you can ask yourself, what's another way to see this? So let me ask you, how do you usually respond when things don't go your way? Do you freeze? Do you blame others? Or do you take a breath and look for a new path forward? Here's a simple exercise to try next time you face a challenge. Pause for a moment and ask yourself a different question. Instead of asking, why is this so hard? Try, what can I try that I haven't tried yet? Instead of saying, I'm not good at this, try, how can I get better at this? These small shifts in the way you think can make a big difference. They help you stay open, curious, and ready to discover creative solutions, even in situations that feel difficult at first. Shifting your mindset and daily creative strategies. Small changes in the way you talk to yourself can have a big effect on what you do and achieve. Life will always have problems. That's part of being human. But the way we think about those problems makes all the difference. If we frame them in a negative way, they can hold us back. If we frame them positively, they can empower us. So, if you want to grow, think more creatively, and solve problems more effectively, Start with your mindset. Shift the way you think, and gradually everything else in your life, your ideas, your solutions, your confidence will start to shift too. Real-life strategies for creative thinking. Now you might be asking, okay, I understand mindset is important, but what can I actually do to think more creatively? The answer is a lot. Creative thinking isn't only for big moments. It's something you can practice every day, even with small problems. There are simple tools and strategies that can help you get better ideas, find solutions faster, and even enjoy the process of solving problems more. 1. Brainstorming. Brainstorming is one of the most classic tools. It means writing down as many ideas as possible without judging them at first. Let your ideas flow freely, even if some seem silly or impossible. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to explore all possibilities. Don't stop yourself by asking, "Is this a good idea?" Instead, ask, "What are all the ideas I can think of?" You can sort and evaluate them later, but first, let the storm of ideas begin. 2. Mind mapping. Mind mapping is perfect when your thoughts feel scattered. Start with a main word or problem in the center of a page. For example, time management. Draw lines out to related ideas. Waking up early, to-do lists, study blocks, phone distractions. Then, branch out further from each idea. This visual method helps you see how ideas connect, break big problems into smaller parts, and often sparks new ideas you hadn't thought of. 3. Asking what-if questions. What-if questions are a fun way to stretch your imagination. Ask things like, what if I could only solve this using one hand? What if I had to explain it to a 5-year-old? What if the opposite of this idea is actually better? These questions push your brain out of its usual path. It's like exploring a new street in your city. Suddenly, you notice things you've never seen before. 4. Reverse thinking. Reverse thinking is a clever strategy. Instead of asking, "How do I solve this problem?" you ask, "How could I make this problem worse?" For example, if you want to improve customer service, ask, "How could I make customers unhappy?" Maybe you'd ignore them, delay responses, or give unclear answers. Then, just do the opposite, and you often find the solution. Looking at the problem backwards can show the right way forward. 5. Lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is another powerful technique. It's about finding unusual or indirect ways to solve a problem, rather than following a straight, logical path. It helps you break out of traditional thinking and discover solutions that might not be obvious at first. By using these strategies every day, brainstorming, mind mapping, what-if questions, reverse thinking, and lateral thinking, you train your brain to think creatively. Over time, these habits make creative problem-solving easier and more natural. Lateral thinking, solving problems in creative ways. Lateral thinking is all about finding creative, indirect ways to solve problems. Instead of moving straight from point A to point B, lateral thinking looks for unusual paths. It might involve combining two unrelated ideas or changing the place where a problem happens. One way to practice this is to question assumptions. For example, people used to think you had to go to a physical store to buy something. Then someone asked, "Why not buy online?" That simple question changed everything. That's lateral thinking in action. Let me show you a story. Imagine a woman named Layla who runs a small bakery. One day, she notices fewer customers coming in. She feels worried. She tries the usual solutions, posting more on social media, offering discounts, but nothing works. She starts to feel stuck. Then Layla takes a step back. She sits with a notebook and begins brainstorming. She writes down every idea that comes to mind. New cake flavors, loyalty cards, free samples, special events. She even writes, "Have a dog day where people can bring their pets." Some ideas seem silly, but she doesn't stop. Next, she uses mind mapping to see which ideas are connected. She notices that many of the best ideas are about creating community, making her bakery a place where people want to stay, not just buy and leave. She chooses one idea, a weekly tea and talk event. Every Friday afternoon, she offers free tea and space for people to chat, share stories, and meet new friends. Within a month, her bakery is busy again. People come not just for the cakes, but for the experience. It wasn't a complicated plan or a huge marketing campaign. It was a simple creative solution that came from giving herself space to think differently. She tried things, made mistakes, adjusted, and eventually succeeded. That is real creative thinking, slowing down, being curious, asking new questions, and staying open to possibilities. Applying lateral thinking in daily life. The good news is you don't need to run a bakery to use these tools. You can practice them every day in small moments. Stuck on what to cook tonight? Try a what-if recipe using only what's in your fridge. Can't focus on work? Mind map your tasks to see them clearly. Having a disagreement with someone? Try reverse thinking. Ask yourself, how could I be making this worse? Then do the opposite. The more you practice these strategies, the more natural they become. Over time, your brain learns to see challenges from new perspectives. You learn to step back, look at the bigger picture, and break it into smaller, solvable pieces. And if it doesn't work right away, that's okay. Trial and error is part of learning and growth. So next time you feel stuck, don't panic. Don't force the answer. Try one of these tools. Let your ideas flow, even the silly ones. Often, the solution you need is just beyond your usual way of thinking. One creative step can make all the difference. The power of curiosity and play. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you experimented just for fun, without worrying about the result? When did you last explore something simply because it interested you, not because it had to work or impress anyone? For many adults, the answer is a long time ago. That's a problem. When we stop playing, we stop exploring. And when we stop exploring, we block one of the most powerful tools we have for creative thinking: curiosity and play. Creative thinking and curiosity. As children, we are naturally curious. We ask questions all the time. We try new things, break things, rebuild them, and try again. A child doesn't need anyone to tell them how to be curious. It's in their nature. They play with blocks not just to build something, but to see what happens when it falls. They draw without fear of being judged. They mix colors just to see what new color they get. In short, children play with ideas, and this is actually one of the best ways to solve problems creatively. But as we grow older, something changes. We are taught to follow rules, to get things right, to be efficient, and to be serious. Many school systems reward correct answers, not original ideas. In many cultures, people are praised for being careful and logical, but imagination is not always encouraged. Slowly, we begin to believe that play is only for children, and curiosity is something we should hide. As adults, we feel pressure to appear as if we know what we are doing, even when we don't. So, we stop asking questions. We stop experimenting. We stop playing. But creativity needs curiosity. Without curiosity, we never ask what if. Without play, we never stumble upon new possibilities by accident. Some of the greatest discoveries in history happened because someone was exploring, not trying to be perfect. For example, Post-it notes were invented when a scientist was trying to make a super strong glue, but accidentally created a weak one that stuck lightly. Instead of throwing it away, he stayed curious and played with the idea. That accident changed the way people take notes all over the world. Even in science, medicine, and technology, every breakthrough starts with curiosity. Someone wonders, why does this happen? Or, what if we tried this instead? If these people had only followed the usual steps, they would never have discovered anything new. The same is true for artists, entrepreneurs, and teachers. They try something different. They play with the unknown. And sometimes they discover something great. Curiosity grows in freedom, not under pressure. In safe, playful environments, people are more willing to take risks, make mistakes, and keep trying. That's why some companies, like Google, allow employees to spend time on personal projects that don't have to lead to anything. Some of their biggest successes came from this open time. It isn't wasted time, it's an investment in creativity. It's also important to understand that different cultures see creativity differently. In some countries, creativity is celebrated and encouraged. People are pushed to express themselves, think outside the box, and share new ideas, even if the ideas seem strange at first. In other cultures, creativity may be viewed more cautiously. There is often a stronger focus on tradition, respect for authority, and sticking to what is already known. Curiosity, play, and growth. Even in environments where creativity is not openly celebrated, it can still grow. It might grow more slowly or in private ways, but it is still there. No culture or background is better or worse for creativity. They are just different. The important thing is that wherever you live, you have the power to stay curious. You can keep exploring, play with ideas, and try new things even when you are not sure what will happen. So, how can we bring more curiosity and play into our daily lives? The answer is simple. Start small. Read about topics outside your usual interests. Ask why questions instead of giving quick answers. Try a new recipe and add your own twist. If you are learning English, don't just memorize words, play with them. Create silly sentences. Make a comic strip. Talk to yourself in different voices. It may feel strange, but this kind of playful experimentation helps your brain stay flexible and creative. The most important thing is to give yourself permission to experiment without knowing the outcome. Real growth happens in that unknown space between, I have no idea what I'm doing, and wow, that actually worked. So ask yourself, when was the last time you experimented just for fun, just to explore, just to discover? Not to succeed, not to impress, not to be perfect, but simply to see what might happen. Often, the answers we are looking for are hidden in the questions we haven't asked yet. Stay curious, be playful, and trust that your best ideas will come when you stop forcing them and start exploring. Practice, progress, and patience. We live in a fast world. Everything seems to move quickly. We want fast answers, fast results, and fast success. We scroll, click, and move on. It's easy to feel like we've failed if something doesn't work immediately. But the truth is, real creative growth takes time. 3 things make it possible: practice, progress, and patience. First, practice. Think about anything you've learned in life: riding a bike, learning a language, cooking a new recipe. None of these happened in a single day. You had to try, fail, adjust, and try again. That is what practice is. It's not about being perfect, it's about showing up again and again. Even when it's hard, even when results are small, even when it feels like you're not moving forward. In creative problem solving, practice means giving yourself regular chances to experiment. You learn by testing ideas, seeing what works, and learning from mistakes. Second, progress, not perfection. Small steps matter. Most great inventions, stories, and solutions didn't happen in one big moment. They grew through trial and error and small improvements over time. Confucius once said, "It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop." Even slow progress is still progress.
Every step teaches you something.
Every experiment builds your experience. Every small success makes you stronger. And that is worth celebrating. Practice, patience, and persistence in creativity. Let's look at a real example. Imagine you are trying to become more creative at work. You read books, watch videos, and even try new techniques like brainstorming or reverse thinking. But after all that, you still feel stuck. Nothing seems to work. You might think, maybe I'm just not good at this. But here's the thing, maybe you are judging the process too soon. Maybe your brain is learning quietly in the background, and what you really need is not a faster solution, but a little more time. Creative thinking grows slowly like a plant. You don't plant a seed in the morning and expect a flower by the afternoon. You water it, give it sunlight, and wait patiently. Over time, something wonderful begins to grow. Creativity works the same way. This brings us to the idea of patience. Patience is hard for many of us because we want quick results. We want proof that we are improving. And when things don't happen fast enough, it's natural to feel frustrated or even want to give up. But creative work does not follow a strict timeline. Sometimes your best ideas will appear after many attempts that didn't work. That doesn't mean you wasted your time. It means you are learning. Every mistake teaches something new. Every wrong turn shows part of the path forward. You are not lost. You are growing. And this is where persistence comes in. Persistence means continuing to move forward, even when it's difficult. It means not giving up just because progress feels slow. It means showing up to practice every day, even when you don't feel inspired. Progress is not always visible. Sometimes you are learning in ways you cannot see yet. You are building confidence, discipline, and habits that will help you later. Think about learning something like speaking English. The first time you try to have a conversation, you forget words. You feel embarrassed. The next day, your sentences don't come out smoothly. It might feel like failure, but you're not failing. You are training your brain. Every attempt makes you stronger. Fluency doesn't happen all at once. It comes slowly, gradually, like the rising sun, not like a sudden lightning bolt. The same is true for any creative journey. So, don't focus only on the result. Focus on the effort. Celebrate small wins, even if they seem tiny. Maybe today you asked a better question. Maybe you stayed calm during a challenge. Maybe you thought of a new idea, even if you didn't use it. These are all signs of progress. They show that you are developing the habits of a creative thinker. And one more thing, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone moves at their own pace. What looks like an overnight success is usually the result of years of quiet effort. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with your journey. Trust that every step, even small ones, is taking you somewhere meaningful. So today, if you feel stuck or frustrated, remember this. Practice brings progress, and progress takes patience. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are learning, growing, and every small step counts. Take a breath, smile, and keep going. You are doing better than you think. Wrapping up, staying creative in everyday life. As we come to the end of today's episode, let's take a moment to look back at everything we've discussed. we have explored what creative problem solving really means. It is not just about being artistic, clever, or coming up with fancy ideas. It is about finding new and useful ways to deal with challenges in life. In today's fast-moving world, creativity is more important than ever. Many real-life problems don't have simple or obvious answers. That's why learning to think differently, explore new angles, and stay open to new ideas is such a powerful skill. It doesn't just help in school or work, it helps you in every part of your life. We also talked about what blocks creativity. Things like fear of failure, perfectionism, self-doubt, and the pressure to always be right can stop us from thinking clearly and trying new things. The good news is, once you notice these blocks, you can start moving past them. One of the most important steps is shifting your mindset. Many people have a fixed mindset, which means they think their abilities are limited and cannot change. But a growth mindset is different. It means you believe you can learn, improve, and get better over time. Mistakes are not failures. They are chances to learn. When you adopt this mindset, you give yourself the freedom to be creative and try new things. Next, we explored practical strategies you can use every day to think more creatively. These include brainstorming, letting ideas flow without judging them first; mind mapping, visually connecting ideas to see patterns and possibilities; what-if questions, asking unusual questions to challenge normal thinking; reverse thinking, thinking about the problem backward to find new solutions; lateral thinking, using indirect or unusual ways to solve problems. These methods are simple. You don't need special training to use them. You can try them at work, school, or even at home. We also talked about the importance of curiosity and play. Curiosity is asking questions, exploring, and wanting to understand. Play is experimenting and trying things just for fun. These are not only for children, adults need them too. When we allow ourselves to play and explore, our minds stay flexible, open, and creative. Many great discoveries and innovations come from curiosity and experimentation, not from following strict rules. Finally, we discussed 3 words that are easy to forget in our fast world: practice, progress, and patience. Practice means showing up again and again, even when it's hard, and trying new ideas. Progress is about small steps. Improvement often comes slowly through trial and error. Every small step counts. Patience is remembering that creative growth doesn't happen instantly. Sometimes ideas take time to develop, like a plant that grows slowly but surely. To put this all together, here's something to reflect on. What is one area in your life that could use more creative thinking? Maybe it's how you handle stress, manage your time, solve a problem at work, improve a relationship, or even your English learning journey. Think about something you've been doing the same way for a long time. What if you looked at it differently? What new questions could you ask? What small experiment could you try? Here's a simple challenge for you this week. Take one creative action. It doesn't have to be big or perfect. It just has to be different. You could solve a problem in a new way. Ask someone else for their perspective. Change your routine. Draw an idea instead of writing it. Talk through a challenge out loud. Even the smallest creative step can open new possibilities. Before we finish, I want to say thank you for spending this time with me today. I know your time is valuable, and I hope this episode gave you something meaningful. I hope it encouraged you, challenged you, and reminded you that creativity is something you already have inside you. You can grow it, use it, and make your life richer, more flexible, and more fulfilling. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, feedback, or even the topics you would like us to explore in future episodes. You can leave a comment, send a message, or recommend this episode to a friend who might benefit from a little creative spark. And finally, if you haven't already, consider subscribing or following the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. There's more helpful content coming, designed to help you improve your English and grow personally at the same time. Until next time, remember to stay curious, stay patient, and most of all, stay creative.